5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, so welcome to the show. CNN is reporting that Egypt is now offering to broker a ceasefire effective tomorrow between Hamas and Israel. Now, the last time Hamas and Israel went at it, and Hosni Mubarak was the president of Egypt, they were the facilitators of that agreement, that ceasefire, whatever you want to call it, back, I believe, in 2012, that ended the hostilities. So Egypt is wanting to enter into this again and to broker a cessation of hostilities between Israel and Hamas. And according to CNN, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has ordered that his cabinet will meet tomorrow morning to look over the ceasefire that has been authored by Egypt to see if it is acceptable to the State of Israel and the Israeli cabinet. And we will take it from there. Meanwhile, the rockets keep falling from Gaza into to Israel. And, of course, Israel's retaliation has been tremendous. They have hit hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of targets inside the Gaza Strip. Joining us now is former Tennessee Senator Fred Thompson. Hello, sir. How are you, Senator?
Steve, I'm good. Hope you are.
I am, and I appreciate you coming on. Great to talk to you. And let me ask you, before we get to your exciting new film, Persecuted, which is coming out July 18th, let me ask you about the situation. Boy, from afar, I'm sure you can't help but look at what's going on abroad, at home, in the Senate, Harry Reid, the Congress, the IRS. Your head must spin, and you must. Do you miss it? Do you say, I wish I were there so I could put my 2 cents in and try to get something accomplished? Or how do you view it?
No, I don't miss it from a personal standpoint. I went in with the idea of serving a number of years and then going back to the real world and put term limits on myself. So that's what I did. That's just me. I think we'd be a lot better off with a lot fewer professional politicians to start with. But as a private citizen, I'm extremely concerned about what's going on. I think we're going in the wrong direction as far as our long-term economic outlook is concerned. We're doing nothing about some of the crucial issues that are going to absolutely break us as a nation a little bit further down the road. We have less respect around the world than any time in our history since World War I. So yeah, I think that it's going to prove to be dangerous for us in the not too distant future. There's no free lunch anymore. We can't build a wall around our country, and I mean, obviously we can't build a wall around it because anybody can come in who wants to. But that's another story. So yeah, I'm concerned.
Yeah, that is another story. It's I was going to follow up on that. Obviously, I think without meaning it, you were referring to what's going on down at the border right now.
Yeah.
But if people talk about the Senate and the Congress and they're this dysfunctional, and the president says, well, I got to act because the Congress won't act. Of course, that's not the way the founders and the Constitution set it up. So is this Congress any more dysfunctional than Congresses have been in the past? And is it not incumbent upon a president also to reach out and to compromise? As this president has stated over and over again, he will not compromise on almost anything.
Well, let's kind of take them one by one. In the first place, our country was built upon the notion that we would not come together on everything. It was set up so that there would be conflict, that it would be done in a civil manner, and the important issues would be debated freely and openly, which they're not anymore. But gridlock, to a great extent, in and of itself, does not concern me in terms of just putting more laws on the books. We ought to be undoing some of the ones that we already have on. As a matter of fact, when you get right down to it, it's the undoing of prior mistakes that we need to come together on. Because when you say we need to come together, we need to work together, we need to compromise, well, perhaps we do, but tell me on what? I mean, what do we need to I mean, what is going to be the end result? Do we compromise and come out with an even greater debt? Do we compromise and kick the can down the road further on our entitlements? Do we compromise on cutting the military 10% or 20% when it doesn't need to be cut at all? So, that's what we're dealing with here. We have a bunch of people who are satisfied with the status quo and don't want to change anything, and they're getting their benefits from the government and things as most of us are nowadays. Middle class is the biggest beneficiaries and you have a good number of people on the other hand who are mildly concerned about the direction of our government and are exasperated when nothing seems to be being done in the right direction because politicians don't want to do anything that's going to anger their base or jeopardize their reelection.
Right. So sometimes.
So that produces conflict. The representatives are people in Congress are just representing the American people, I think, when we're divided.
Right. And one more, then we'll get right to the movie. So when you see the president go around saying, they're suing me, and I don't know, and I got to act because they won't act. I mean, this is kind of unprecedented, isn't it?
He has no concept, apparently, or he acts like he has no concept of the founding principles of our government. It's not a matter of somebody get electing president and he gets his way. I mean, it's the only president in history who I have ever seen or read about who thought that he could constitutionally bypass Congress as far as legislative activity is concerned. I mean, that's he acts as if he does not care what half the people in this country think. If they're not his voters, he wants to go down in history as having accomplished a couple of things and changing the face of America to his liking.
Right. And
doesn't really care about anything. If he knows better than that, it's highly unconstitutional, clearly unconstitutional. Several of the things that he has done. Imagine a Republican president, a big law being passed like the health care law and Obamacare, and him being in there and saying, well, we're not going to enforce this part this month, and next month we're not going to enforce the other part, and certain people are going to be exempt from the operation of this part. My goodness.
You think he'd be impeached, right?
No, yeah, without question.
Yeah. Is impeachment the answer here?
No, it's not, because the American people are not of a mind to do that.
Gotcha.
They're not going to do that. They don't. It's not bad enough yet for a lot of people to understand the trouble we're in.
All right, I don't want to let you go without having time to talk about the movie. So you were just on Broadway, right?
Yep.
All right, and that was very successful. Now talk about Persecuted, coming out July 18th.
Well, yeah, it's a new film. It's different. It's a more of a conservative film, if you will. Not a lot of these come out of Hollywood nowadays, but it's an independent film. It's based in Washington. It's a Washington thriller, and the bad guys are the president and the Senate Majority Leader. You can imagine that. And it's a question of freedom of religion. It raises questions of church and state, where they're trying to tell an evangelical, what he must do and what he cannot do. And this preacher stands up against him, and they frame him. And most of the movie is what he goes through in order to stand up for his First Amendment rights and freedom of religion. So it's an interesting, fun thriller on the one hand, but it carries a deeper message of how vigilant we have to be with regard to our First Amendment rights and in this case, freedom of religion.
Well, Senator, I can't wait to see it. It opens Friday. That's July 18th, if my math is correct in my head. And we all look forward to seeing you in there. And best of luck with the film. And thank you so much for talking to us, sir.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Bye.
That's Senator Fred Thompson, of course, and great actor, Fred Thompson. And he says there's not that many conservative films. There's more and more. There are more and more. He knows better than I, but there are more and more, and they're more and more successful. And we've documented that over the course of time. We've talked about it with people like Robert Davi. We've talked about it with people like Danny Aiello. We've talked about it with others. And it's good to see, and I'm very anxious to see it, actually. I actually saw the Planet of the Apes movie on Sunday. I think I went on Sunday. Yeah, yesterday. It was okay. You know, it bothers me to think that, you know, this is like the #1 blockbuster of the summer, making all these millions, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, and it's okay. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time by any means. And you know what? My son looked at me and said, "Did you like it?" Because he wanted to go, and I took him. And I said, "Yeah, it was all right." But he said, "Why? What's the matter?" I said, "They could have done it in like 20 or 25 minutes less. You know, it was a 2-hour-plus movie. They could have chopped 20, 25 minutes off of it easily. But it was action-packed to an extent. Was it the most brilliantly written or the most brilliantly acted movie? And I'm amazed how they do all this computer-generated stuff, but that's just me. You know, I'm kind of, I don't know, easily impressed, I guess. When we come back, what epidemics may be brought into this country? Don't go away.